Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Josh All, your host today on Wednesday, the day that the Browns were supposed to be interviewing former Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel in person. That obviously is not happening anymore. News that came out last night, which I will dive into along with you guys. Got some voicemails. As always, you guys are just populating the content for the show, and I appreciate it. You guys rock. If you want to get your voicemails on the show, thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu, or you can just type up a message and send it in and get your thoughts and opinions on the show that way. Either way, we're going to be driving these shows forward with your takes, your questions, and all that kind of stuff. Some head coaching updates here before I dive into your guys' voicemails. Obviously, the big one, Mike McDaniel withdrew his name from the Browns head coaching search last night. And actually, I'm going to pause here because I think I do actually have a voicemail that I wanted to lead off with this. So we'll kick it off, this discussion, with a voicemail here from Claude.
Good morning, gang. Claude from Erio. Just saw Mike McDaniel withdrew his second interview. Just curious what you guys think about that. Does that add more chaos to our coach search, or is that thinning the herd? Personally, I would have liked McDaniel, selfishly, I guess, for just how the press room would be. That would be pure entertainment. I really like Grant Udinski. That story is just so cool. Him jumping from team to team, moving up the ranks, lands in Cleveland, turns them around into a contender. But I would be totally cool with Nate Scheelhaase. I would be totally cool with either of those guys. But do you think either of them would do well with Jim Schwartz? Because I don't want to lose Schwartzy. And side note, I'm really excited to watch Buccaneers and Falcons games now. It's nice to see a little Cleveland toxicity bleed over somewhere else. Thanks, guys. Go Browns. Woof, woof.
Yes, Claude, the Cleveland toxicity did bleed over into the NFC South. I'll get to the Baker comments, his tweet from last night here in a moment. But to go back to your first question here, yes, Mike McDaniel withdrawing his name from the Cleveland Browns head coaching search does create chaos. And it's not an either or, and it also thins out the herd because obviously that's one fewer candidate that the Browns have to consider when making this decision. So what's the chaos? If you have not been following the show, if you're not aware of the situation with the Browns head coaching search right now, which, by the way, seems to be a very dull, drudging, boring, I'm not 100% sure they know what they're doing type of search. Okay, let me just say this before I know there's people out there, what are you talking about? This is an NFL team. Of course they know what they're doing. Guys, I've been a fan of this freaking team for 30 plus years. Trust me. When it feels like they don't know what they're doing, more than likely, they do not know what they're doing. But here's the situation. So we came into this week with 6 second-round interviews on the docket. We were going to do Jim Schwartz on Monday, Todd Monken on Tuesday, Mike McDaniel on Wednesday, and then it was reported we've got Grant Udinski on Friday, and I think it was Jesse Minter was the Thursday. And then the 6th second round interview was going to be Nate Scheelhaase, but that couldn't happen until Monday of next week at the earliest because he's the Rams pass game coordinator and the Rams are currently still in the playoffs. They're playing the NFC Championship game on Sunday. So we can't interview Nate until after that game. The problem, unfortunately, this is just the way things are. The problem comes down to the skin color of the coaches we're interviewing. It sucks that that's the situation. It shouldn't be the situation. Unfortunately, it is. The Browns have not fulfilled the Rooney Rule, which I talked about the other day. The Rooney Rule states that you must interview at least 2 head coaching candidates, minority head coaching candidates in person before you can hire your new head coach. The Browns have not interviewed any minority coaches in person to this point. The two that they were going to schedule it with and have that rule satisfied would have been Mike McDaniel and Nate Scheelhaase. Mike McDaniel withdraws his name. We can't meet with Nate until after the NFC Championship game. We are sitting now with the Rooney Rule, being 0% complete, with a complete inability to hire a head coach right now if we wanted to. That's the situation the Browns are facing. So, I made a short video about this last night. It sucks. It really sucks because the Browns put themselves in a situation where, listen, this team, this organization takes enough heat from the media and from social media and fans, and just they do it. They get enough crap for just being bad, for just sucking on the field all the time. Now you've put yourselves in a situation where you have, and I'm going to say some things here that sound really bad because it is really bad. This situation is a bad situation to be in. You do not want to be in this situation. But you've now put yourself in a spot where you now have to go out and request some interviews that are going to be deemed token interviews. That's exactly what it's going to be. I said this last night. What do you think a minority coach is going to think when the phone rings from the agent and says, hey, the Cleveland Browns are requesting an interview with you for their head coach position? Oh, gee, I wonder why they're calling me. It's going to be painfully obvious why we're interviewing new candidates. We're already in the middle of our second round of interviews. It's like we've narrowed down to our finalists. Reaching out and getting some random defensive coordinator in for, a first-time interview at this point is going to be so obvious, especially when that guy is black. Just call it what it is. That's the situation we put ourselves in. Good job, Andrew Berry. We were talking about this in the Discord last night. How did you mess this up? How did you mess this up? This rule has been around, I think, since 2001. Damn near 30 years. How'd you mess this up? How did you screw it up, Andrew Berry? I'm sorry, guys. This is what's being a Brown. This is Browns fandom. I love this team. I will root for this team until the day I die. That is one of the few things in my life that I can promise you will not change. The only way that could change is if the Browns just close up shop and go away. Otherwise, rooting for them until the day I die. Unfortunately, I'll probably be forced to root for them in the afterlife for some terrible thing I did in this life or something. That'll be my punishment. What are we doing? I feel like this head coaching search has no direction. It's very slow, like I already mentioned. And here, let me play this voicemail from, which one was it? I'm sorry, guys. You have to hold on a second here. Okay, no, you know what? I don't want to play that one just yet. Let me just go back to something here in Claude's voice. We have interview Grant Udinski, which you guys know is like my number one guy. Blake Sunday night was saying it's interesting that I would have him as my number one guy, considering he's not received any interview requests from any other teams. He's never been a head coach. He's never been a play caller. Like, what's really the appeal with this guy? Well, the Buffalo Bills, with their very recent head coach opening, have now requested an interview with Grant Udinski. So there you go. The Bills with Josh Allen, with a team who fired their coach because he couldn't get them where they wanted to be, which is a Super Bowl. It's not like he couldn't get them to the playoffs, which is where the Browns are at. We want a head coach who can just get us to the dance, baby. They don't give a shit about the dance. They're already there every year. We want somebody who can get us all the way to the finish line. And Grant Udinski is now on the list of people they're interviewing to do so. It's interesting because, of course, if you get a job offer from the Buffalo Bills to go be their head coach with Josh Allen, and you get a head coach offer from the Cleveland Browns to go be their head coach with Deshaun? I don't know. He's not coming here. So this is where in the Discord we were talking, it just feels like there's no sense of urgency for the Browns. Unless they have like zeroed in on Nate Scheelhaase and they think that's our guy. That's why we're not in any rush right now to knock out these Rooney Rule interviews or anything, because as soon as we interview Nate Scheelhaase in person, we're hiring him, because Nate Scheelhaase is a minority coach. So if they interview him and hire him, they don't have to satisfy the Rooney Rule requirements. They said, no, we're just going to pull the trigger and hire this coach. He just happens to be a minority, so that satisfies the rule. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe the plan is Nate Scheelhaase. Nate Scheelhaase has had multiple head coaching interviews other places. There's a lot of speculation that Chris Shula, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, will go be a head coach somewhere, and he's going to bring Nate Scheelhaase along with him as his OC, because that would be a job upgrade for Scheelhaase. He's currently not the OC. He's the pass game coordinator. And I know Blake's anti-Nate Scheelhaase. Not interested because he's not a coordinator. He doesn't call plays, all that kind of stuff. And you guys know Nate Scheelhaase is 2 on my list. It's Udinski and then Scheelhaase. I would not hate having Nate Scheelhaase be the next head coach. And the reason is I don't believe Nate Scheelhaase would come in here and say, I am doing the Kevin Stefanski. We're running my offense. I'm calling the plays, and that's it. I feel like Nate Scheelhaase, you have a better opportunity of him being more of the CEO figure. Yes, he's going to bring in his offensive schemes and concepts and what he likes to do and things like that. But I think Nate Scheelhaase would be more likely, I'm not saying this would happen, I'm saying more likely to hire an offensive coordinator and let him call the plays and manage the offense during the game. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's what would happen. I could see it being the case. Again, as we are now halfway through the second, third week of this head coaching search for the Browns, we just have to do a lot of speculation because I feel like we're not really progressing forward. The only thing that makes sense to me, there's two options right now on the table for the Browns. One is they don't know what the hell they're doing, and they're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. This is Andrew Berry's first head coaching search. He's getting caught off guard with how it all works. That's one path here. We just don't know what we're doing, and we are screwing this up. The other, like I just said, the other path, in my opinion, that makes sense is they've zeroed in on Nate Scheelhaase, and they're fine waiting until he's out of the playoffs to interview him, because they can't do anything until he's out of the playoffs anyway. And if they win on Sunday, they're going to the Super Bowl. That's another 2 weeks we have to wait until we can hire him, I believe. I guess I have to look up the rule to see when you could hire a coach if that coach is on the staff of a Super Bowl team. I'll look that up, get back with you guys later this week. If somebody in the comments wants to drop the information in there for me, go right ahead. I'd appreciate that. I will look it up either way. But that's the only other thing that makes sense to me. Maybe it is Scheelhaase. Because again, then the Rooney Rule stuff doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about it, because if he's your guy and you're going to hire him, then you don't have to fabricate another interview in here with a minority coach just to satisfy the rule. So maybe that's it. I don't know. That would be my speculation as it currently stands with the way things are going. Mike McDaniel, I don't even think I mentioned it. The news came out then late last night, I believe. I didn't see it till early this morning that he has taken the offensive coordinator job for the Los Angeles Chargers. So, like I said the other day on the podcast, makes more sense for Mike McDaniel to take an open offensive coordinator position. There are some really good opportunities out there for him to be an OC on a good team with good offensive players, a good quarterback, all that kind of stuff. Do that for a year or two, revitalize a team, get them to the next level where they want to be, and then you will be in like the top demand for a head coaching gig. Because, and everybody said, well, the Browns really screwed this up by not, he chose the Chargers OC job over the Browns head coach. We don't even know if the Browns were going to offer him this job. Maybe he had an inkling they weren't. Maybe he knew the Ravens weren't going to offer him their head coaching job. Maybe he just didn't want to do anything with the Raiders. So it just made more sense to me to see him take an offensive coordinator job during this cycle, because I think he will be a head coach again in the future. And I think there's still a little bit of bad taste coming off of what happened in Miami and all that kind of stuff. So go be an OC. I said this the other day. Go do the Cliff Kingsbury. Go be an OC Get your name back in the spotlight in a positive light, a fully positive light, before you throw your hat back in the ring for head coach. So I think that was probably a smart move on his part. Again, the Browns weren't the only interview that he had to withdraw from to take that job in LA. He withdrew from other head coaching interviews, won the Ravens, and we weren't the only team that he backed out on. He wanted to be the OC in LA, and I don't blame him. I do not blame Mike McDaniel for that decision. So that takes the candidate list down from 6 to 5. I think that's the only news I wanted to talk about as far as head coaching. Mike McDaniel, Grant Udinski being interviewed by the Bills, and then the possibility that maybe Nate Scheelhaase is the Browns guy. Maybe that's what's going on here. This episode is sponsored by Kalshi. Browns fans, are you ready to put your money where your predictions are? With Kalshi, America's #1 regulated prediction market, you can legally trade on events that actually matter to you. And the best part is you don't need to predict specific stat lines and compile a 7-leg parlay to win big. With Kalshi, the objective is either yes or no. Which team will win the Super Bowl? Who will be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns or whatever other team is looking for a head coach? Will Fernando Mendoza be the first pick in the NFL draft? You can put your money on these predictions and more with Kalshi. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $20 to anyone who signs up at kalshi.com/dogs, DAWGS, and trades $100. And right now, I believe there's a promo going on for $10 if you just sign up with kalshi.com/dogs, even without trading the $100. So get away with disadvantageous sports books and dive into real-world outcomes with real-time odds and real payouts. Head over to kalshi.com/dogs, DAWGS, or click the link in the description below to get $20 when you trade $100 on Kalshi. That's Kalshi, because why shouldn't you get paid for being right? This episode is sponsored by ButcherBox. Browns fans, I hope you didn't miss out on the Christmas promotion from ButcherBox, but if you did, I have great news. The promo is still running this week. Head to butcherbox.com right now and new members will receive your choice between free New York strip, ribeye, or filet mignon in every single box for an entire year. Plus, you get an extra $20 off with promo code DOGS, DAWGS, at checkout. Just head over to butcherbox.com, choose your box and your delivery frequency. With the custom classic box, you get exactly what you and your family love. Choose from over 80 products, including meat and seafood. Plus, you can manage your entire subscription online, and you can change your box type, your product selections, your frequency, or your delivery date at any time. Shipping is always free. Deliveries come straight to your door on your schedule, and you can cancel anytime. Every meal is easier when your freezer is stocked with high-quality meat and seafood from ButcherBox. That's butcherbox.com. Right now, get your choice between free New York strip, ribeye, or filet mignon in every box for an entire year, plus $20 off with promo code DOGS, DAWGS, when you check out. Okay, so let's get to another voicemail. Let's listen to this one from Darren.
Hi guys, Darren from Edinburgh here. First voicemail into the show, so be nice. Hopefully you understand my accent. Just want to say, love the show. Listen to you guys most weeks. I work night shift here, so the time difference, it's always nice to hear a podcast late at night when I'm at my work. Just stick the headphones in and listen. So really appreciate it. You didn't really get a lot of stuff to talk about because of the performances, but here we are. So just want to say, Josh, you've convinced me. I'm all on board with Udinski as the head coach, but I wouldn't be mad with McDaniel's either. And just on the draft, I was curious, do you guys think that we should be looking at a guy like Kenyon Sadiq at 24? Just with us not really knowing what's going to happen with Njoku, or do you guys just go 2 receivers first round, maybe a receiver at 6 and an offensive lineman at 24, or maybe draft down and get one of the more elite ones? But yeah, just love the show. First voicemail. Hopefully I'll have many in the future. So speak to you soon. Go Browns.
All right, Darren, thank you very much. Let me say this real quick before I talk about what you asked there. First of all, I am terrible with accents. I just am. For some reason, the way the way I hear it and translate in my mind, I struggle with accents. I understood absolutely everything you said in that voicemail, except for one thing. I have no idea where you're from. So if anybody out there has a better ear for accents than I do, or Darren, if you're in the comments, you want to let me know, where did you say you're from? I've listened to this voicemail like 10 times. I've turned it up. I put in my ear, but I cannot make out where you said you're from. It cracks me up. That is 100% me though. That's all me. That's not you, brother. That is me. As far as the draft thing goes, Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon, I like him. He's a big, massive, just rocked up, studly looking dude and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure he'll go first round. He'll be the first tight end taken. Not for the Browns. Not for the Browns. We have to get wide receiver and offensive line. I don't think tight end is that critical for the Browns that we have to go get Kenyon Sadiq. Now, if we get a new head coach in here that says, I need that type of tight end to go with Harold Fannin Jr., then maybe that changes things. But for me, it's all about getting one of the top 3 elite receivers in this draft, and that would be Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, or Mekhi Lemon. You have to get one of those 3. If the Browns don't get one of those 3, I'm going to be so mad. I'm going to be pissed, livid. And then obviously, yes, an offensive tackle, and I keep saying this, but until free agency rolls around, I'm going to have to keep making the point. It just depends on what we do in free agency with the offensive line, because no matter what happens, I can tell you right now, we're not getting a wide receiver 1 in free agency. That's not going to happen. You can't do that. So that's why wide receiver 1 doesn't change for me as a draft necessity, getting one of those top 3 guys. Offensive line, there are guys you can sign in free agency to fulfill those positions. Not all of them, of course. You're still going to have to draft a couple guys. And by the way, I'll let you guys know, I've got mock draft 2.0 coming out later this week. I think I said this the other day. We're going to talk about some offensive linemen in that mock draft and how we could revamp the Browns offensive line pretty quickly, even without anything or knowing anything with free agency. So we'll talk about that tomorrow or Friday. I can't remember which day we're going to put that out, but it's coming, so stay tuned. So thank you, Darren, for the voicemail. I do hope to hear back from you again and again. Don't worry about the accent, because that is 100% my fault and not yours. Okay, next voicemail is from Gabriel.
What do you do with Broken Baker? What do you do with Broken Baker? What do you do with Broken Baker? You missed the playoffs. That's right, Brad Moneymaker. You're not the only one who can sing on this podcast. I got sea shanties. Let's do this, bro. And hello, Docs Podcast. It is your Buccaneers fan back, Gabriel. And Josh, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the inspiring words you mentioned on my previous voicemail. That was my first time ever sending a voicemail into the Dogs Podcast. The reason I asked that question about how to do a podcast is me and my best friend, who is a Chief fan, we do a podcast every Tuesday night. Well, a quote-unquote podcast. We go live on Facebook Live. But thank you for all the inspiring words, and we definitely will keep those in mind. And is there going to be any way this summer you can work a Buccaneers fan into the Dog Pack Discord and Patreon? I'm thinking about joining over the summer. And thank you guys for everything you do. Go Dogs. Ho, ho.
We have dueling singing voicemails on the Dogs Podcast. This is, I never in a million years would have guessed we would grow to this point. Brad, you have got some serious competition. Gabriel, that was a phenomenal song. And it's interesting to hear from a Buccaneers fan talking about Baker Mayfield this way, because we lived it as Browns fans, and you guys are experiencing it now too, which, by the way, I do need to talk about this whole Baker Kevin thing. And I'll get to that here in a second. But first of all, Gabriel, thanks again for the voicemail to talk about the podcast thing. One last bit of advice here. If you are doing a Facebook Live once a week, first of all, that's not quote a podcast. That is a podcast. You're doing a podcast. You are putting out content in a very structured manner, and that's awesome. My advice would be go into your Facebook. I can't remember where it is because I don't do this very often. It's the business suite, meta business suite on the backside, whatever it is. Go to the post, go to the video, download it. Download the video, upload the video, create a YouTube channel, start posting your podcast. Take the video that you have on Facebook Live, download it, put it on YouTube, throw it into Audacity or like a free audio editing software that you can download, and then throw the video file into there, export out the audio, and start putting it out as an audio podcast for Spotify and Apple and everybody else to listen to. That would be my suggestion. You've already got the content. Put it everywhere you can. Take it to YouTube, take it to the audio platforms, and now you don't just have a Facebook Live that you do. You have a legitimate podcast that is going to all the different platforms. And if you need any help doing that, barkatthedogspodcast.com. That is the email. Go ahead and send me a message, and I will help you get all that straightened out if you have any questions. And yes, there is definitely room for a Buccaneers fan in the dog pack. We would love to have you. And you and Brad can go ahead and have your singing battles in there. Don't wait till the summer. Come on in now. We can talk about draft. We can talk about everything going on in the NFC South, which brings me to the tweet. So, D. Orlando Ledbetter, who is a Falcons beat writer, posted this the other night, I guess this was yesterday, in defense of newly hired Falcons head coach Kevin Stefanski. Ledbetter said, Kevin Stefanski had a dumpster fire at quarterback in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson failed, which started a chain reaction to 11 other starters. Quarterback Shedeur Sanders closed out last season with 7 starts. I don't really know why. I don't know what his point was with the last sentence there. It was just a fact, I guess. Anyway, so Baker retweets this, or quote tweets. I don't even know the verb. Guys, I'm so bad. I'm getting old. Anyway, he posts this and says, failed is quite the reach, pal. Still waiting on a text call from him after I got shipped off like a piece of garbage. Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach. And who he's referring to there when he says still waiting on a text or call from him after I got shipped off, still waiting on a text or call from Kevin Stefanski. So apparently Kevin never even reached out to Baker after he was traded. A lot of misremembering of how things went. Baker Mayfield did request a trade at that point after the 2021 season with the Browns and all that kind of stuff. It was just bad situation in Cleveland. And now here we go. Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield get to face each other twice a year as they battle in the NFC South for that division, which is always a bad division. So we'll see. This is going to be must-see TV. The Baker Mayfield, Kevin Stefanski wars have left Cleveland. They are now in the NFC South, and you Bucs and Falcons fans get to live them. Welcome to the club, baby. Welcome to the club. I will say, I've seen some people making some decent points on Twitter. You now have Baker Mayfield coming out and basically saying he had beef with Kevin. You've got Wyatt Teller's wife coming out. They've got beef with Kevin. Things were weird with Shedeur Sanders. Deshaun Watson has done a couple things to indicate that he had beef with Kevin. It's just interesting. It's just interesting. I'll leave it at that. And obviously, it's all speculation because that's what a lot of these cryptic things on social media do. But Baker Mayfield just taken to the tweets to throw some shots at Kevin Stefanski. Thought that was interesting. So, Gabriel, if you want to, also let me know what you think about your QB taking shots at his old head coach. All right, let's see. We talked about, we heard from Claude, Darren, Gabriel. Let's listen to this voicemail from John.
What's up, guys? John O'Malley Jr. here from Buckeye, Arizona. And I've listened to the last 2 recent episodes, and I can understand the frustration of firing Kevin, but the time was now. And to be honest, I would have fired Kevin after the Jets game. 8-26 over 2 seasons. 2 playoff appearances, bounced both in the divisional round. Yes, he's a 2-time coach of the year, but I was telling my buddy, because we were both avid Browns fans, how much longer were we able to continue to justify his coach of the year awards? And this roster, yes, absolutely terrible offensively. But we weren't far off like many people think. A few mistakes go one way, and exactly like Josh said, we're fighting for the divisional, for the division. And we need a few pieces, and we can make some serious noise next season and the season after, because remember, guys, we're under pressure because of Myles Garrett. So thank you, guys. Have a good day.
All right, John, thanks for the voicemail. The Browns did not get bounced in the divisional round in both of those playoff appearances. It was the first year in 2020, but in 2023, we lost in the wild card, the first round down there in Houston to the Texans, to a C.J. Stroud that actually looked good as compared to what he has been the last couple years. Very interesting development there Yeah, it was time. You guys know I was ready. It was time to move on from Kevin. The thing about only being a few mistakes here and there away from having 8 or 9 wins this season, that's true. That's very true. Some of those mistakes are on him. And it just never felt like he was a coach who could consistently, because he could do it from time to time, but it never felt like he could consistently win the close games. It was the Browns who always found a way, and this is historically true of the Browns, no matter who the coach is. They just find a way to lose. It's a running joke as a Browns fan. What's the new way to lose this week? If there's a way to lose, we will invent one. We will find it. It will be ours. I keep going back to that Titans game, man. You're down by 14. You score a touchdown. You could be down by 7 points. And instead, you decided to go for 2. Put yourself down by 8. Now you have to go for 2 the next time you score. And then the play call they rolled in there with the the running back wildcat direct snap sweep fake miss toss throw whatever the hell we were doing to a practice squad rookie receiver. Man, it makes me sick to think about. So that was a big one right there. That was a bad one. And then, you know, another thing for Falcons fans, which I know you guys aren't watching this podcast, but it's interesting I want to know what they think as he builds his staff, because that was always a weakness, in my opinion, for Kevin in Cleveland. It was Joe Woods, which was a terrible defense, which we held on to for 3 years, even though we said after the first year, you need to fire this guy and get a different defensive coordinator in here. Nope. Kevin rolls with his buddy Joe Woods for 2 more seasons. The defense is one of the worst in the league. And then finally, they fires him. Same with Mike Prefer in the special teams. And then it's Bubba Ventrone with the special teams. And, you know, Ken Dorsey hires him and has to fire him after 1 year. He's got to give up play calling duties 2 years in a row. It's just, I don't know. We'll see how things work down there in Atlanta, but we'll find out. We will find out. Time will tell how that's going to go. All right, we got our last voicemail here. This one is from Justin.
It's your friendly neighborhood Browns fan out here in Jersey. I'm just going through a little, cluster of voicemails I'm sending here just because, I don't know, I'm traveling for work a little bit right now. And something I just want to point out, you know, and I've been preaching this for a while, and I think we're all on the same page in terms of just going after some receivers, especially in the first round of this draft, is like, just look at who's in the playoffs still, right? Denver Broncos, Cortland Sutton. Patriots, Stephon Diggs. Rams, Puka Nacua. Seattle Seahawks, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Seeing a trend here? And then you look at like Baltimore and you look at the Bills, and it's just like they didn't really have any big receiver, you know? So it's like, let's change that up. We got Shador coming back. You know, we got Harold Fannin to throw to. You know, I like Isaiah Bond, keeping him speedster a little bit. So we do actually have a little bit of speed. Yeah, let's just go get a receiver, please. Go Browns. Ooh.
Let's go get a receiver, Justin. Let's go get a couple of them. Gosh darn it. We need pass catchers. We need wide receivers. We need some major help in that area. I know Mel Kiper Jr. just put out his first mock draft of the draft process season here today. He's got the Browns taking offensive tackle Spencer Fano from Utah at pick 6, and then 24, it's Zachariah Branch, the wide receiver out of Georgia. Probably the first time I've seen Zachariah Branch mocked in the first round, I think. Could be wrong. I mean, maybe someone else has done it. I just haven't seen it. It's not something I've come across very often. So you guys can let me know what you think about that. What if we came away with Spencer Fano and then Zachariah Branch? I know he's a little undersized, 5'10", 180, but he's a very good playmaker, and, you know, from what I'm reading, pretty electric with the ball in his hand after the catch and all that kind of stuff. I just think we got to go one of those top 3, one of the big 3 receivers at 6. You got to get one of those dudes. Like, we need a dude. Like Justin said there, the teams that are in the playoffs that are having success, they have dudes at wide receiver. Obviously, they have quarterbacks. That's its own thing. You got to have the Bills have Josh Allen, but they don't have a dude at wide receiver anymore. You know, that dude that they did have is now the dude for the Patriots, Stephon Diggs. So got to get a wide receiver. We need a couple. I think that as much as we poo-poo on Jerry Jeudy on this show and as a fan base, which deservedly so, he was nothing but doo-doo this year. I think that Jerry Jeudy is just not built to be a focal point of an offense. If he's like your wide receiver 3, if you've got some boundary guys out there and you can put him in the slot or let him bounce, between the Z and the Z and the Y, and then you got like a boundary X receiver and all that kind of stuff, I think Jerry Jeudy will be okay. I think I guess mentally, I don't know if he'll be okay, because I feel like if he's the third wide receiver on the depth chart, he's going to be crying about not getting enough targets, but he's going to drop half of them anyway. And there I go. I'm poo-pooing on him again. I got to stop doing this. Yeah, I think that we need to get we got to get Tate, Tyson, or Lemon. And then I would love to get one of the Indiana kids, either Elijah Surratt or Omar Cooper Jr. I think the way you go about that, you kind of build off what you have after pick 6, because if you're going Carnell Tate, I'll just do a quick aside here on receivers, in my opinion. If you're going Carnell Tate, you probably don't want to double up with Elijah Surratt, because they're going to fulfill the same role on your team. The outside, downfield X receiver, the big body contested catch guy, not the fastest, but they're going to win with their route running and their physicality. So if you go Tate, I would be much more honed in on Omar Cooper Jr. after that. If you go with Jordan Tyson, who's more of a bounce receiver, he can kind of come inside, outside, and he's more versatile and that kind of thing. Well, then maybe you want to look at Elijah Surratt. And the same situation would go for Mekhi Lemon, who is going to, dominate. I think he can go inside and outside from what I understand, but I think he's going to dominate your slot position in the way that a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown does. For the Lions, you're going to need an outside boundary receiver, so that's where Elijah Surratt would make a lot of sense. Omar Cooper Jr. does a lot of what I think Lemon and Jordan Tyson can do. He can play inside, outside, but you can move him around. He's very versatile and all that kind of stuff. But if you want that guy that, Cedric Tillman, unfortunately, was supposed to become, and I don't think he ever will. I think Cedric Tillman would be okay as a depth piece for the boundary X spot and all that kind of stuff, but I think you need a guy who can come in here and dominate that position. So that's where a guy like Carnell Tate or Elijah Surratt would be interesting, in my opinion. But that's it. That's the voicemails from you guys today. Again, we've got the Mock Draft 2.0 episode coming up later this week. The Dog Pack Discord live episode will be on Sunday, either noon or 1. Haven't exactly set a time yet. Kenny and I are still discussing that. But either way, it'll be early afternoon on Sunday. So if you're in the Dog Pack, mark your calendar, be ready for that. Jump in, get on the show, talk to us, ask some questions, give your opinions. We'll talk about the coaching search. We'll talk about draft prospects. I'm sure we'll be still discussing Baker and Kevin and the feud and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to be a part of those episodes, if you want to be part of the Dog Pack, get into that community. Gabriel, I'm telling you, get in there, man. We will welcome a Buccaneers fan for sure. My uncle's a Buccaneer fan. He lives down there in Tampa. So make sure you get in, and get in now. Just come on, hang out with us. We'll welcome you in, and we can talk about Baker and Kevin and the draft and everything. Everybody is welcome in the Dog Pack. So you can get in there and give it to Brad for sure. He needs it. Brad, you got to step up your singing game, buddy. And that's at jointhedogs.com if you want to be part of that community. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for your voicemails, your feedback, your questions, all that kind of stuff. You guys, I love how you populate the show with content. You ask the best questions and give the best takes. Justin, I will do a quick note for him. He left me 3 or 4 voicemails here in the last couple of days, and I didn't play all of them because it started off with talking about how Mike McDaniel is his coach of choice, which now, of course, is irrelevant because he's off the market. So that's why we only got to the last voicemail from Justin. But appreciate you guys sending everything in. We'll talk to you on the next episode. Have a great week. Let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at The Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by Kalshi. Browns fans, are you ready to put your money where your predictions are? With Kalshi, America's #1 regulated prediction market, you can legally trade on events that actually matter to you. And the best part is you don't need to predict specific stat lines and compile a 7-leg parlay to win big. With Kalshi, the objective is either yes or no. Which team will win the Super Bowl? Who will be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns or whatever other team is looking for a head coach? Will Fernando Mendoza be the first pick in the NFL draft? You can put your money on these predictions and more with Kalshi. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $20 to anyone who signs up at kalshi.com/dogs, DAWGS, and trades $100. And right now, I believe there's a promo going on for $10 if you just sign up with kalshi.com/dogs, even without trading the $100. So get away with disadvantageous sports books and dive into real world outcomes with real-time odds and real payouts. Head over to kalshi.com/dogs, DAWGS, or click the link in the description below to get $20 when you trade $100 on Kalshi. That's Kalshi, because why shouldn't you get paid for being right?
Hey, Sal.
Hank, what's going on? We haven't worked a case in years.
I just bought my car at Carvana, and it was so easy. Too easy.
Think something's up?
You tell me. They got thousands of options. Found a great car at a great price. And it got delivered the next day.
It sounds like Carvana just makes it easy to buy your car, Hank.
Yeah, you're right. Case closed.
Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.